Good evening and welcome to NEWSBREAK Live. I'm Hiba Sama. Thanks for joining us. Torrance Fire is investigating a condo fire that just happened. Around 4 p.m., Torrance Fire units responded to the 1800 block of Plaza Del Amo to a second alarm structure fire. There was black smoke coming from the second floor of a garden-style condo unit. The crews were able to extinguish the fire within 7 minutes upon arrival. No residents were trapped or affected, but they are investigating the cause of the fire at this moment. It's a nuisance on the road that you may be facing more than usual right now, but city crews have you covered. Throughout the week, crews are filling in potholes. Yesterday, 550 square feet of holes were filled, and it was expected that crews would be doing the same amount today. The Torrance Public Works Department maintains nearly 800 miles of streets and more than 500 miles of curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. Staff says it's their goal to fix potholes as soon as possible, with giving priority to ones that may affect drivers. All other requests are filled on a first-come, first-served basis. If you have any requests, you can call Public Works at 310-781-6900. Tomorrow and throughout the week, you can expect some delays on your commute right here in the city. Crews will work on the water service laterals at 2 alleys that intersect with the new water line on Cravens Avenue. The city has notified residents and businesses about closures, and that access will be open on the far side of each of the alleys during work. On Friday, the water main replacement will extend onto Carson Street and will be reduced to 1 lane, and southbound Cabrillo Avenue will also be down to 1 lane. Now, both southbound and northbound Cravens Avenue between Carson Street and Gramercy Street will be closed. This is all part of plans to replace a water main, repair curb, gutter, sidewalks, and repave streets. Newborns at Providence Little Company of Mary Medical Center were ready to go home while wearing something special. In honor of American Heart Month, newborns were red knitted hats that were made by volunteers. The red hats spread awareness about American Heart Association's Little Hats, Big Hearts program. It aims to raise awareness of heart disease and congenital heart defects, which is the most common type of birth defect in the country.
Also raise awareness for new moms and their heart health, particularly drawing attention to women's heart health, the specific factors that women have when it comes to heart disease, and how they, as the lead for their family, often are the ones in charge of taking care of health for their whole family, and sometimes they themselves forget and neglect their own personal health.
I've made over 300 in the last maybe year and a half. I wish they would know that I've tucked in a little love.
Last year in 2018, we delivered over 2,700 babies, and we screened all of them for the congenital heart disease. So we are really doing what we can to partner with the American Heart Association and our community to keep all of our families healthy.
Providence also gives babies within the first 24 hours a congenital heart screen. The American Heart Association will deliver 250 of the little red heart hats to both Torrance and San Pedro hospitals. Providence Little Company of Mary is among 30 hospitals that will be participating. The program provides hats to hundreds of thousands of newborn babies in 40 states across the country. Little Hats, Big Hearts started in Chicago in 2014 with only 300 little hats. Torrance police officers are taking steps to combat illegal dumping. Between November of last year and this past January, there has been nearly 10 incidents of illegal dumping reported. There have been numerous complaints throughout the northern and central parts of the city. Now, officials say illegal dumping is sometimes referred to as fly tipping and is unauthorized disposal of waste on any public or private property. Most recently, investigators arrested a suspect who allegedly was dumping construction debris at various locations. The city of Torrance requires that all commercial and some residential construction, demolition, or remodeling projects recycle or reuse at least 65% of the materials that leave the project site, as well as 100% of excavated soil and land clearing debris and any universal wastes. If you have concerns or questions, call 310-781-6900. Thanks to one organization, locals are getting some much-needed relief during tax season. People lined up in hopes of getting some free tax assistance in downtown Torrance today at the Russ Nolte Annex on Post Avenue. The AARP Foundation Tax Aid South Bay location was helping all customers on a first-come, first-served basis. It's the first week they're open and volunteers are on location and they're already busy. Look at that, certified by the IRS and California Franchise Tax Board. The volunteers prepare and e-file federal and California taxes. You don't have to be an AARP member to take advantage. Volunteers prepare tax returns for people of all ages, especially for customers 60 years old and older.
So helpful for the fact that it's just convenient around the corner around my area, and it's just the fact that I don't have to have any fees to get my tax refund. I don't have to go through anyone to get my money. You know what I'm saying? And here, like, they're simple and easy, and they're just really fast. They work with you. Even if you have questions or anything, man, like, they just get you going. And then towards the end, you feel good, you know? You don't feel like you owe anybody.
All you have to do is bring your photo ID, social security cards for yourself and dependents, a copy of last year's tax returns, a blank check, and all tax documents. Tax Aid is the nation's largest volunteer-run tax preparation service. The Torrance site is open from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. No appointments are needed. A pop-up at the Del Amo Fashion Center is now offering its products from a storefront. Casper, that helps people sleep better, is now on the first floor of the Del Amo Fashion Center right in front of guests. They launched in 2014 and offer customers comfortable sleep products. Casper mattresses consist of 4 types of foam. The brand also sells bed frames, bed accessories, and items for your furry friends as well. The company also is offering patrons a 100 nights trial right now. Local high school students are being recognized on the national level for their academic excellence. At the recent Torrance Unified School District Board meeting last night, students from South High School and West High School are recognized as semi-finalists in the 64th Annual National Merit Scholarship Program. The talented high school seniors have the opportunity to continue in the competition for nearly 7,500 national merit scholarships worth more than $32 million that will be offered next spring. To be recognized for this honor, semi-finalists must fulfill several requirements to advance to the finalist level of the competition. Scholarship winners are chosen based on their abilities, skills, extracurriculars, accomplishments, and potential success in college and beyond. The National Merit Scholarship Corporation was established in 1955. A popular dog food brand is recalling its products due to its excessive vitamin D levels. Hill's Pet Nutrition in the last week has pulled nearly 25 products off the shelves. Varieties of the company's canned prescription diet and science diet foods were affected in the recall. Larger amounts of vitamin D in the food can be deadly. Some signs dogs can experience are vomiting, loss of appetite, increased thirst, frequent urination, and weight loss. While the company hasn't reported any deaths, many pet owners have commented about their pet deaths on social media. No dry food was affected by the company. Now let's get to the weather. Today there were some showers early this morning with a high of 55 and a low of 43 expected tonight. Then tomorrow there'll be a high of 57 degrees with a low of 43. Then on Thursday there'll be a high of 60 with an expected low of 43 degrees. Weather officials are warning people to stay away from beaches during this time. A beach hazard statement remains effective through tomorrow due to the possibility of dangerous rip currents that can pull swimmers and surfers out to sea. Also, with the recent rain, there is an increased risk for ocean drowning. Large breaking waves can wash people off beaches and rocks. If you're caught in a rip current, relax and float. Don't attempt to swim against the current. If possible, swim in the direction following the shoreline. You can take steps to make the air quality better around you healthier. The Check Before You Burn campaign is underway right now. During late fall and early winter, the South Coast Air Quality Management District asks residents to avoid burning wood in fireplaces when unhealthful air quality is forecasted. The campaign runs through February, and you may see mandatory no burn alerts for 24 Residents are asked to also avoid backyard fire pits and wooden stoves when emissions and stagnant weather conditions raise fine particulate pollution to unhealthy levels. There are 3 ways you can check before you burn: sign up to receive air alerts on air quality, check before you burn map, and also call their toll-free number if you have any questions. For more information, go to aqmd.gov. Now let's get to events. This Saturday, you can check out a new place that gets you creative. An AR Workshop, a do-it-yourself studio located in South Torrance, is celebrating its grand opening. It'll take place from 3 to 6 p.m. Then the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation will present an evening with Henry Winkler in conversation with comedian Carol Leifer on Saturday as well at 8 p.m. You'll be able to get behind-the-scenes information on all Henry Winkler's iconic roles in both TV and film. Well, in just 2 minutes, President and CEO of the Volunteer Center South Bay Harbor, Long Beach, Sara Myers, will talk about how they're developing plans to combat the youth mental health crisis. We'll be back in just a few.
There. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Can I tell you another one? So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it. What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. What is a boxer's favorite drink? Fruit punch.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back to the second half of NewsBreak Live. Joining me is the Volunteer Center President and CEO, Sara Myers. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The Volunteer Center is always on the forefront with new programs, and tonight you're here to talk about a very important topic, the youth mental health as a crisis here in the community.
Yes.
So let's talk about first, how did the current strategic planning by your team lead to this discovery?
So the Volunteer Center has been around for more than 50 years, and our mission is to involve people, volunteers, in major community needs. So when I joined the organization 3 years ago, it was a perfect time to do a complete assessment. We looked at our internal assets and the things we do well, but also we wanted to go out to the community and we wanted to find out what is the major current need that our community is most concerned about. And so we started doing interviews with business leaders and community members and our board, and we really wanted to know what's on the minds and hearts of our community here in Torrance.
And while you were doing that in the process, you found a lead. You found, hey, there is this big issue that a lot of people aren't talking about, and it's growing rapidly. So tell me about the discovery and the steps your team took to say, hey, we need to do something about this?
So as we were doing these interviews, we went and looked at existing assessments. So for example, the local hospitals, they do assessments to find out what people are concerned about. And we did a series of interviews. And from that, we heard from everybody that there is a major concern about the youth mental health crisis. And we use the same definition as the local hospital does. So it's the increase in stress, anxiety, panic, and unfortunately suicide ideation, so the idea of committing suicide. So those were the increases that we saw, and we studied a lot of national and local research, and the statistics that we found were just absolutely alarming. So for example, 56% of youth had a major depressive episode in 2015 than 2010. That's just 5 years. And 46% more youth passed away by suicide in 2015 than 2007. That is a huge increase. But the one that I think gives me the most chills, no matter how many times I say or study it, is that 20 to 30% of local middle schoolers seriously contemplated ending their life in 2016. In 2016, that's just the most recent data we have. So we believe from anecdotal evidence and those stories that we're hearing, almost everyone I talk to in a group, someone has lost someone personally, a youth, to suicide, a loved one. And so we're carrying those faces with us, and we believe that when the data from 2017 and 2018 comes out, it's just going to be absolutely alarming how much it's increased. And so these are the things that our board said, we've got to find out what is going on and what's the reason.
And your board, your team, you guys hosted events, you hosted community meetings. I mean, the work that you did is amazing, the thoroughness of it. And you found that there are many factors that are leading our youth to contemplate suicide or have anxiety or have depression. So talk to me about some of the events that were hosted, the panels, and how it was for you to be on the forefront and see this unfold.
So one of the major researchers that we worked with is Professor Jean Twenge. She's out of San Diego, and she's been studying data for generations, and she looked at the changes that were happening around 2012. In addition, locally, we held 4 major community input panels. So we did one with mental health professionals, we did one with the faith community who have been dealing with us for a long time, and we did one with the parents and caregivers, and one with the youth. And we actually did a couple. We went back to the youth. We also went out and talked to 7th and 8th grade girls as part of an empowerment conference with a local congressman. And we went out and did all of these meetings to help gather. And what we did was we said, okay, here's 13 major contributing factors that we heard from the community. And we asked those panels to help us prioritize and tell us, what do you think is the major reason that this has increased? And from those 4 panels, they came back and said that it's screen time and social media addiction was number 1 for 3 of the panels, and the culture of perfection, this idea that these youth are trying to be so perfect and they're trying to get into college in the college arms race. And then we also heard other factors such as ill-informed or unaffected parenting. Even the parents said that. Bullying came up, sleep deprivation, and some other factors, but the major one was the screen time and social media addiction.
And statistics show, you did mention to me that youth are spending 6 to 9 hours a day on screens, which is actually, if you think about it, they don't even probably sleep that much.
No.
So, and this is correlating to the lack of sleep and signs of anxiety and depression, like you mentioned. So now the Volunteer Center is focusing on that specific factor, correct?
Yes. So after we heard from the community, the mental health crisis is a huge issue, but not very many organizations are delving into that screen time addiction. And so we've gone full on. There's not a lot of templates out there. There's not a lot of information. This just became an issue in 2012. It became a crisis in 2017. So we're looking at it, and a lot of people, when they hear screen time addiction, they're worried about the content on the screens. They're worried about things like graphic suggestive materials or dangerous perpetrators, things like that. Well, maybe violent video games. We're actually more concerned at the Volunteer Center about what youth and parents are missing off the screens. So that's where you learn attachment bonding and reading emotions and having this human development that increases empathy and caring. And we are breaking that down at the very beginning when they're toddlers. And so that's where we want to come at this and say, okay, this is something that's adding to that sleep deprivation and really tearing us apart. How can we bring that back together? And the Volunteer Center has always been about empathy, so this is really near and dear to our hearts.
You will also be adding empathy and resilience as part of your focus for the Volunteer Center's mission to kind of make it a big umbrella to cover all different populations.
Yes, absolutely. It's really important to us to look at youth and say, okay, how can we bring this back? And we're not one of those organizations that are going to say, okay, screens, everyone should get off it. We know that this is a balance and they're here to stay. So society has kind of swung way out here. We just want to gently and compassionately urge people to be more aware and to take time off their screens and balance it. That's what these youth need to learn, and that will help bring back that empathy.
This obviously starts with education and families and community members coming together to realize that there is an issue, and the resources such as the Volunteer Center can help with that. So tell me, what is in the foreseeable future? What are you hoping to develop?
Yeah, so we asked the community, what do you need? What services would help solve this problem? Because they talked a lot about the problem, and we said, what are the solutions? So we have a 3-point pilot programs that we're starting, 3 focuses that we're looking at. One is education for parents and caregivers. We heard so many of them are struggling. How do you help create boundaries with their kids? And so we want to get the information out. A lot of parents are very surprised by this research. Then we also are completely revamping our teen program. This is not going to be a bunch of get those volunteer hours in so you can get into college. That adds to the stress and the anxiety. We're going to be about taking them off the screens and really teaching them as teens what they can do and getting them to express their emotions in a healthy way and reconnect. And then we also want to do a community-wide awareness campaign. So this is going to be a lot like the anti-smoking campaigns. Just kind of be aware, put your screens down. We all see it in the restaurants and out in the community, even at amusement parks. It's really time to not miss those moments with our kids and the youth in our lives and to really talk to them. We've kind of lost the art of talking face to face.
Yeah, everyone texts nowadays, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You also did mention that you saw a decrease in youth wanting to volunteer or participate in the community. Is that true?
Yeah, we really were starting to find that the motivation and the excitement for some of our teen programs and just the time that families have available. If you think of 6 to 9 hours a day on screens on top of youth jobs and sports and activities and clubs, it's really a lot of pressure on the family. So we see that this crisis has led that and the lack of empathy to having the ability and the time and the capacity to give back. So part of our goal in addressing this crisis and putting down the screens is that we'll be more connected to each other, and youth will come back to saying, I really want to get away from myself and what I look like on Instagram and get back to helping others. So it's really important.
You did mention as part of the pilot program, to combat this crisis, you'll be talking about making small improvements and also acknowledging character instead of achievements. So
Yes.
what does that mean?
So one of the things that I hear from people is, especially grandparents, like, how do I talk to my grandkids? Their faces in the screens. And one thing I say you can do right now to any youth in your life is, instead of giving them a compliment, and this is hard, we all do it, about their looks or their achievements, try to find something about their character that you can say. So for example, with my nieces and nephews, whenever I notice them being kind, I say, that was so kind. And when you see that, they just beam, because there's so much pressure to be perfect or what they look like, versus, I'm so glad you're so kind or you're so brave. Those are easy changes we can do. And another thing is that you can ask them, like, when they have a special experience, before you grab your phone and put it all on Instagram, ask them how they feel. Like, what is this special moment? What is the feeling that you're feeling? Right. We just, as society, do a really poor job about talking about emotions and feelings, and they need that to be healthy and to connect with others.
That's the long-term goal. And for many of our viewers who might be struggling with these issues or their children facing these issues, what can you tell them while we're waiting for some of the new programs and more of the resources to come up.
Yeah, we realize that people need it right now and they are struggling with these issues, as you said. So you can go on our website. There's more information about all our research phases, our strategic plan, and we have been studying all of these national resources, and we've pulled together some of the best organizations, the Lady Gaga Born This Way Foundation, the JED Foundation, and others. We've put them all on our website, and there's tips about how to talk to youth about mental health and crisis lines. Everything's there for families who the viewers at home may be struggling with this exact thing with a loved one. And so we don't want you to wait for our pilots to come out. We really want you to visit our website and get help.
And there'll be best resources on self-care and mental health. They just have to go to volcenter.org/youth-mental-health.
Yes.
And of course, you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Can you talk a little bit about the resources that will be available in your future?
This is affecting our whole staff and board. Like, it's really great. Our director of development and marketing has been fantastic about just little tidbits, stress-free Monday and putting it out there to take care of ourselves. I think just having self-compassion and not always trying to strive and be perfect, just breathing, mindfulness. There's so many great tools available. So we've been putting those up online, and then just feel good stories we don't hear enough about how people are helping each other. So there's empathy moments for self and others, and I think it's a very feel good, Twitter, as you said, Facebook and Instagram, that we'd love to have more people follow. And we also have a way for people to express interest in our programs to come. So they can just click on that and join our mailing list.
The best part, if they have questions or if they want to express any concerns or maybe something they learned, they can contact you and share that with you as well.
Yes, definitely.
And before we go, is there anything else you'd like to add about this issue and anything you hope for? Well, as a nonprofit leader and on behalf of our board, we are raising money for this cause and our new programs. And so there are ways to donate on our website. And this is a community-wide issue. It's affecting us all personally. And if you at home are affected by this, please do realize there's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's no need to have a stigma. The statistics say that unfortunately it's the norm, it's not the exception. So please do get help. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for coming back on NEWSBREAK. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you. And as Sarah mentioned, if you'd like to donate, you just have to go to volcenter.org/youth-mental-health, and you can find the link right there. And right now, you have the full page of their Facebook, their Instagram, and Twitter handle. Their Instagram is at the Volunteer Center. Same with Twitter, and you can look them up on Facebook at the Volunteer Center, South Bay Harbor, Long Beach. Well, that does it for NEWSBREAK Live. If you ever have news or video that you'd like to share, please email us at newsbreak@torranceca.gov. Also, if you missed any portion of the show, you can catch it on Torrance City Cable's YouTube page. City Council is back on the dais tonight, and I'll see you guys next time.